We got to bounce back quick here and on the road and play a South Florida team that's won 3 in a row and won 24 games last year, and they return all 5 starters. So they have they're led by their backcourt guys in Rideau and Collins, and both those guys are returning all AAC players. And so they have experience, they have depth, they're very, very athletic. They'll be one of the most athletic teams we've played all year. And then they're one of the best teams in the country in creating turnovers. They're 6-4 in the year, and 5 of their 10 games they've created 20 or more turnovers. And they just won they won on Sunday. And they created 19 turnovers. So that'll be a big key to the game. They really pressure you and deny, and they're very physical on the ball. And then they just funnel guys to their rim protector, their big kid who's a 7-footer. So a big key for us will be we got to handle the ball, not turn it over, because they raid it and they just come to it strong all the time. So we're going to have to be very cognizant of that. We're going to have to be ball tough. We're going to have to make great decisions from that respect, and not allow our offense to be their best offense. And then offensively for them, certainly they create a lot of offense because of their turnovers. They're an excellent offensive rebounding team. They get 38.4% of their missed shots, and they get fouled a decent amount. Number 0 gets fouled 6.5, shoots 6.5 free throws a game. So, but they're very, they're not necessarily like a high-end, high-tempo offensive team unless it's off of their turnovers. So then they'll almost always kind of see what they can get. Otherwise, they're just going to run a set and run play after play after play after play. So we're going to have to do a great job of guarding the ball and have excellent screen and roll defense. So got to bounce back from a tough loss in a great environment the other day. And sometimes when you play these rivalry games, it's you got to really you can't let one loss become 2 and 3. You got to learn from it, and it should sting. But at the same time, you got to move forward and concentrate on getting better. Should be a great environment in terms of playing in the Houston Rockets arena. 3 really good games going on that day in Houston, and so we're excited to be a part of that event.
How did you get involved in this game, and how do you get involved in the game in Florida? How did those games come about?
Teams just advertising. One of the guys that's running this tournament is a longtime friend of our program, and we recruit a lot in Texas, and so they were advertising for a team to play, and of course we had a heck of a time getting games, and so it just kind of worked out with us to find a neutral opponent in South Florida. And then the Orange Bowl, whatever it's called, Classic, I think it's 3 Florida. Obviously we're playing Florida, and Florida State and South Florida, ironically, is playing in the first game. So 2 neutral court events against 2 very quality opponents, and again, scheduling is always a tough thing, and so sometimes you just got to take what you can get. But we're happy to be a part of both events.
But with it's a good situation, obviously, for you guys to be able to play with what you want to have happen with this program against these kind of teams.
Yeah.
Get them on a neutral court, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a fan of playing home and homes, but at the same time, not everybody is. So you got to be able to, and these types of games, with the net rankings and whatnot, if you're top 50 in the net, that's a quad 1 win on a neutral floor, and so, it should be 2 net 2 or net, at worst a net 2 game for both of them, and at best obviously a net 1. So these are good games for us, and they're going to help us prepare for Mountain West Conference play, and in great venues, right? When you play in the Houston Rockets arena, guys love that kind of thing, and that's an area that we recruit to. Right now we have one, Marco Anthony is the one current player on our roster from Texas, but obviously we signed Nigel John, and he's from Texas. So I think it's important to get those kind of games in areas that you recruit to.
Can I ask you?
You can ask me whatever you want.
Were you surprised that Neemias got as much done in that game against BYU, the amount of time he has played?
Yeah, he looked good in practice, especially Friday. It's just funny. There's days he looks really good, and there's days it's maybe not so good. And I thought, especially the second half of the BYU game, he just looked way more comfortable out there. And so there's like we've said before, you have the physical aspect and you have the mental aspect, and how do you handle the running as hard as you need to in transition defense, and in the physicality of things when you're getting banged around, and trusting that, right? How your body's going to react to that. And certainly he's adjusting in a very good way. So nothing ever really totally surprised me or us with Nimi, but I thought he looked a lot better Saturday against BYU than he did the previous game against Fresno. Not that he was bad against Fresno, but he just looked a lot better. And it's amazing when you get to this point in the rehab how another 7 days and then another 7 days, how much your progress can, you grow leaps and bounds when things are going well that way.
Did he progress okay today from practice, playing that much?
Yeah, he looked
He's
great.
Okay
I asked him before practice, he goes, I feel great. I feel great. So
you anticipate he can play
yeah, I anticipated.
much?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got the clearance on it, but he looked good in practice again today, and so that's what I would anticipate, and who knows, maybe even more. But we obviously have 2 more days till we get to that point. So I just kind of tricked myself into, like, if he plays, it's a bonus. If he doesn't, we got to prepare for that. But but still get him the reps that he needs in practice.
It's an interesting time of year. You had kids that aren't in school. They got a break for a while. It's around the holidays, but you guys are going to be gone for a while. I mean, how do you keep everything in check with the different things that are going on?
Well, I mean, we've had musical chairs all year. I feel like it's just kind of been one of those things between a lot of different factors. But I think I was really excited about practice today. You just don't, as a coach, you have the day off, and you're just agonizing, and you're thinking about the game over and over and over again. You're worried about what is our mental state going to be. But I was excited about where we were or how we practiced today, and the way we responded to film today, and so you know what, maybe getting away will be a good thing for us. Maybe school's over now, so you're not thinking about this, that, or the other. You're just worried about basketball and your body and recovery, and so a lot of times you get out of that finals week and it's kind of there's almost a weight lifted off their shoulder, and the weather will be a little bit warmer, I think, and so they might be looking forward to that too. But I think more than anything, they're just looking forward to getting back out there and competing again against 2 quality opponents that I think, if we can take care of business, will really help us, in the long term.
Coach, I know it sounds like an odd question, but with as much as you guys have traveled so far early in the season, can you talk about the importance of your training staff and what they've been able to do for your players and taking care of them? It's
huge, and we knew when the schedule was put together, when you compared last year, we didn't, even though we were gone almost the same amount of time, it was just way shorter trips. And so now when you're traveling all this time, it's dedication. Like Carl Smith, our athletic trainer, has been a very busy man this year with all of our stuff that's going on, and Logan Ogden is the strength and conditioning coach, and those 2 guys are like best friends. It's almost like the movie Twins, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito. It's kind of like that with their personalities, but somehow they're like long lost brothers. And I can't explain it, but they just work so well together, and it takes them to be really connected to discussing what's best for Nimi, or what's best for Diogo, or what's best for Sam, or or Kuba now, and so on and so forth. So it takes so much of it is maintenance, but preventative maintenance, right? And being out ahead of it and doing their recovery and mobility and making sure that the student athletes are taking ownership too and doing whatever they need to do in terms of getting their injuries back to where it needs to be. And that takes, you got to be ahead of it and progressive with that thing. You can't just throw a couple of Tylenols in and ice and elevate. Like, those days are done if you're really going to recover the way you need to. So it takes a team, man. And when I say a team, it's your coaching staff, and it's obviously your student athletes, but it takes everybody. And certainly Logan and Carl are a humongous part of what we do in our program.
And then you guys, going to Florida across the country, do you have your assistants like plan in advance and scout Florida ahead of time?
Oh yeah.
How hard is that to do? One game and go across country and do another?
Well, we do. It's kind of our routine. Our staff our assistant coaches are assigned scouts before the season starts, so they're always working ahead and following all their games. I guarantee you, I guarantee you, Eric Peterson has already watched some UNLV games, and Austin has watched some New Mexico games, and we only played New Mexico one time. They're always working ahead, getting a feel for, and that's the beauty with some of the technology now. You can really be more efficient with what you're doing, and but that's an ongoing thing, and I think that's something that we do in a good way. But that's why you have a team, right? And they can afford to look ahead and be ready to go with certain teams.
You talked about South Florida has most of their starters back.
Mm-hmm.
And they won the one tournament. Was it CIT or CDI that they won last year?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kind of surprised that they're only 6-4?
Well, one of their guys got hurt early on in the year, and he's out for the year. So I think that hurt them a little bit because he's a really good player, and we know how that goes when you lose a really good player. Things are different. So I feel like they're starting to hit their stride a little bit. They've won 3 in a row now, and so sometimes it just takes time when you're adding some new guys into the fray, right? And so they're a very, very talented team, and there's not much they don't. They can score it inside, they can shoot the 3, and they have a couple guards that can really get downhill on you. And then the way they defend, it poses some problems. So I feel like they're gaining their stride.
And they beat Wofford by 14. Wofford just beat North Carolina.
North Carolina, I know. It's crazy how it goes. It's just matchups are a big thing in college basketball, as we know, and so they're very, very talented, and we knew that when we scheduled them. But we felt like this would be a good game to make us better and help us with like I said, for postseason play.